This tier list is basically just Halloweentown, Twitches, and Victoria Justice. Welcome back to the channel, guys! So today I have another spooky video for you, hence the witch hat. Thank you, Aoife, for letting me borrow it even though I didn't ask. So today we are going to be doing a tier list of all the Disney Channel / Nickelodeon Halloween movies that I grew up watching. So I'll just let you guys know we're not going to be having a lot of like the 90s movies on here, like Under Wraps or My Mom's Dating a Vampire or whatever, because I just didn't watch those as much growing up, so I don't really think I'm qualified to rank them, and I don't necessarily have like nostalgia for them. We're just gonna be doing, you know, our Twitches, our Halloweentowns, and all that good stuff. So let's just get right into the tier list. Okay, so as you can see, I have the tier list that I made, and I think we have a total of 10 movies. So first, let's go through the different tiers that we have. So at the top we have iconic. These are the movies that everybody knows and that you want to watch every single year, you know? They're like the Home Alone of Halloween. You get what I'm saying? Okay, so the next tier down is Good Times, which are a bunch of fun movies, you know, you still love to watch them, but they don't necessarily hold the same iconicness that the first tier has. They're still great movies, but they don't have that extra little slice of nostalgic wonder. Then the tier below that we have Perhaps Not Every Year. So these are the movies that you're like, I'll watch them, I enjoy them, but they're not going to be a yearly watch, you know? They'll be, if it's on, I'll watch it, or, you know, I have some extra time, I guess I'll watch that movie. Then the tier below that is low budget but funny. So these are your movies that have kind of a low budget and you can really tell, and the writing is kind of trash and you can really tell, and the acting is kind of trash and you can really tell, but its saving grace is that it's funny because of those things, and so you enjoy watching it even though it's bad. And then the last one is Go Home, and these are just trash movies that don't deserve to be watched. Okay, first up on the list we have Halloweentown, the most classic Halloween movie that I think everybody has seen. Even though this is a Disney Channel original movie, I feel like older people or the younger generation now knows of Halloweentown and like gets that reference. It's just such a quintessential Halloween movie. It has the best Halloween vibes. Everything just feels so spooky, but like in a fun way. And I love it. Okay, let's just be honest. I love Halloweentown. Let's be clear here. Halloweentown isn't perfect. It's not a perfect movie. It's very low budget, and if you really watch closely, you can really tell the reuse of costumes, the acting. It's pretty low budget, but I have a great time with it, and I just ignore those things. A channel that I really love, Practical Folks, actually did an entire series called Drunk Disney where they watched Disney movies while getting drunk, and they did an episode on Halloweentown, and it's literally one of my favorite episodes of that show because it's just so funny the way they dig into it. Like,
this is my brother Dylan.
Dylan. 5 best warlocks in the world. Dylan, and Calabar.
Dylan. But yeah, so I would recommend checking that out if you haven't seen that. But Halloweentown is iconic. Not to mention, Debbie Reynolds is literally in the movie. It doesn't get more iconic than that. It really doesn't. So we have to put Halloweentown in iconic. There's simply no other way. It just is. It's iconic. Everything about it is iconic. The entire Cromwell family, love them to death. Even little Dylan. Okay, next we have The Boy Who Cried Werewolf, which is one of the only Nickelodeon movies on here, because it turns out they didn't make very many Halloween movies. Nickelodeon, get on that. But I actually really enjoy this movie. I don't know, I think Victoria Justice does a good job in the role. I think it's a lot of fun, and yeah, like, I don't know why I end up watching this one almost every year, because I don't know, it's funny, it has a little romance, so I have a lot of fun with it, and I love a good vampire werewolf story. They never get old. So I'm gonna put The Boy Who Cried Werewolf in, I kind of want to put it in Good Times, honestly. Or Perhaps Not Every Year. You know, I'm gonna put it in good times. There, I said it. I like the movie. I think it's fun. I think you should check it out. Next, we have Halloweentown 2, Calabar's Revenge. And I actually like this one. I think it's a pretty darn good sequel. They honestly, like, from a movie standpoint, I think they topped themselves from the first one in terms of like quality and story and stuff like that. With the whole Calabar's son thing, and just everybody's more involved, there's more going on, more stakes. So I actually really liked this one. Had some romance, like, however, it's definitely not as iconic as the first Halloweentown. And also everybody, they just didn't plan well enough. I don't think they necessarily knew that Halloweentown was gonna be such a hit, because everybody's like way older in this movie, and it really throws me every time I watch it. Like, Marnie looks like a grown woman, you know, and that's fine, but it just throws me. And then her siblings also look too old, especially Dylan. It's just weird, but I really enjoy this movie. I would say that it also goes in good times, and it goes ahead of The Boy Who Cried Werewolf. Yeah, it's slightly better than that movie, I would say, and I would watch that one more often. But again, it's not as iconic as Halloweentown. It's just not. Okay, next we have the Disney Channel original movie, Girl vs. Monster, starring Olivia Holt. This movie's saving grace is Luke Benward being just so gorgeous, as always, and a couple really good songs. Otherwise, it's extremely low budget. Like, extremely. And the plot does not hold up. It really doesn't. I mean, what do you expect? It's literally called Girl vs. Monster. But again, the music, it slaps. It really does. However, despite how low budget and objectively bad that it is, I do have fun watching it. I think that it's really freaking funny. Like, it's the type of low budget movie that you can just have so much fun making fun of or laughing at while watching it and still like enjoy yourself. Like, I made this TikTok of this part that me and Aoife caught while we were watching it, where they just completely flubbed this scene where they're using a phone, and she's obviously supposed to be just, you know, using a phone like normal to call somebody or whatever, but you can see her press the video that they took for it to be played. Like, just look. The way Girl vs. Monster just left that in! That is literally just the video for the prop of the phone, and again! Like, I cannot believe they left that in. How did nobody see that? Like, they either didn't see it somehow, no editors, no directors, nobody saw that, or they saw it and they just didn't care to fix it. They're like, so Girl vs. Monster definitely goes in low budget but funny, because like I said, it's pretty trash, but I have a lot of fun with it. I'm a big Olivia Holt fan. Her acting's not necessarily the best in this, but I still like enjoy her on screen. Like I said, Luke Benward. Woo! And then I think her name is Kat Macadamia Nut or something. She was in that Shadowhunters show. But she's also really good in this. Like, she gives 110% in her acting, which I can respect. So, Girl vs. Monster. Okay, next we have Twitches with our girls, Tia Tamara. We love our twins, Tia and Tamara. They are too iconic for this world. And Twitches is an amazing movie. I feel as if it was ahead of its time almost, because you've got two female leads, two POC female leads that are strong and have powers and are just freaking cool as hell, and also are fashionable and like funny, and it's just, I will say though, the darkness, which is like the evil bad thing in this movie, really freaked me out when I was a kid. So there was like a lot of times where I would not want to watch Twitches because the darkness honestly freaked me out when I was younger. Obviously not so much anymore, and it's, you know, you can definitely tell that some time has passed and CGI has definitely progressed in the years since. However, I still think for the most part, you know, it holds up in that kind of endearing, nostalgic way. And like I said, it's just a really good movie. The plot holds up. It is iconic. I would say Halloweentown is more iconic in the sense that more people would probably know what it is. But in my opinion, Twitches is a better movie than Halloweentown, if that makes sense. So Halloweentown is more iconic, but Twitches is a better movie. That's my hot take. I love Twitches though. I definitely watch it every single year if I can, and it is iconic. So it goes in the iconic tier, where it deserves to be. Okay, next we have Halloweentown High, which was the third film in the 4-film franchise that is Halloweentown. Halloweentown High is an interesting one because it's very different from the first 2 Halloweentowns. And it's honestly, there are some funny parts that I do enjoy, and in a lighthearted way. It's a little less spooky Halloween vibes than the first 2. I definitely would not watch it every year, but if it were on, I wouldn't be mad. I'd be like, okay, yeah, I guess I'll watch Halloweentown High. You know? It's not egregious to me, is what I'm trying to say. It's not offensive to me in any way. It's just definitely nowhere near the level of the first 2 movies. I think there are some people that like Halloweentown High better than The Revenge of Calabar, but I just like that one more. So I'm gonna put Halloweentown High in perhaps not every year. I probably wouldn't watch it every year. I don't watch it every year, but if it comes on, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm down for some Halloweentown High. I'm not mad at it. Okay, the next movie is Fun Size, which is kind of a cheat on my part because it aired in theaters, I'm pretty sure. But this is a Nickelodeon movie, and I didn't have very many Nickelodeon movies. I only had The Boy Who Cried Werewolf, and I was like, I need another one. And also, I just love the movie Fun Size. Something about it is just, it's great. It's a great Halloween movie, but also just a fun movie in general. It's freaking hilarious. The little boy that plays Albert deserves an Oscar for this role. Like, I mean that wholeheartedly. He has no lines until like right at the very end, and he kills this performance with just his physical comedy and his facial expressions. Like, the kid is top-notch acting. Like, wow. This is another one starring Victoria Justice, and I really like her here. I mean, they try to do the thing where they say that this super pretty girl is a nerd and is unpopular, and I'm like, you're trying to tell me Victoria Justice would be the unpopular girl in her school? Like, make it make sense. But they've got, again, romance in there. I love some good romance vibes. I just really like the movie. I think it's a really well done movie, and I actually tend to watch it every single year because it's just a good movie to put on. Also, I really like Victoria Justice's Dorothy costume in this movie. So listen, like, I really honestly want to put it in iconic because I like it that much. But it's not historical or iconic. So I'm gonna put it in good times, but definitely ahead of Halloweentown 2 and The Boy Who Cried Werewolf. Okay, next up we have Twitches 2, which is the sequel to Twitches, but they did Twitches 2 as in T-O-O, not T-W-O, for some reason. I never really got that. But, like, this is Twitches also? What are you trying to say? But this one is also a lot of fun and is pretty much on par with the first movie, I would say. A little less compelling than the first movie just because I think a big fun part of the first movie is the sisters finding each other again and kind of discovering their similarities and learning, you know, about their powers and stuff. And this one also takes place a lot in, what's the secret world called? Camelot or something. But it spends a lot of time there, which is, yeah, I wouldn't say I necessarily get to it every year, but I wouldn't be mad at watching it every year. But it's still a fun time. It still has our girls, Tia and Tamara, so how could you be mad at it? So I would put Twitches 2 in good times. Yeah, I don't watch it that often. I'm not sure why. I just don't gravitate towards it, but it's still a really good movie. Okay, next we have My Babysitter is a Vampire, the movie, because it eventually turned into a series, which is like kind of crazy that that happened. It must have just been really successful viewership-wise. I'm not sure. This one stars Vanessa Morgan, and she's an icon. I don't know, I just really like her. I don't watch this one very often because I didn't watch the show really that much either, so maybe I just don't have that much of an attachment to it. But this one is a lot of fun. It gives me similar vibes to The Boy Who Cried Werewolf. Basically, if you have never seen it, it's basically just these two guys that are definitely too old to have a babysitter, and then they have a babysitter and she's a vampire. A lot of these titles really give away the plot. I think it's a fun movie, but I definitely don't get to it every year. I don't prioritize watching it because I don't think I necessarily have a ton of nostalgia attached to it, but I still think it's a really funny movie, and like I said, vampire werewolf stories, they never get old. I'm gonna put it in perhaps not every year ahead of Halloweentown High, because I definitely think it's a better movie than Halloweentown High. But yeah, I definitely don't get to it every year, but I definitely wouldn't be mad if like somebody threw it on. I'd be like, okay, yeah, let's watch. So those are my thoughts. And last, but certainly least, we have Halloweentown Return to Halloweentown, the 4th installment in the Halloweentown franchise. And this one is atrocious. I almost don't even want to talk about it. It's offensive to me that it was even made for so many different reasons. I don't even remember the last time I watched this because it is that offensive to me. Why on earth, in a franchise of 3 movies, 3 iconic, okay, 1 iconic movie with 2 decent sequels, would you make a 4th movie with a different lead actress? It makes no sense. It makes 0 sense to me. I don't know why anybody would decide to do that. Like, it honestly makes 0 sense. I could maybe see where they were coming from if it was the sequel to Halloweentown and they were like, we gotta keep this going, it was so successful, and then replace the actress for some reason. It didn't need to be made. It's as simple as that. It did not need to be made. And they had the whole weird like time travel-y thing going on, which they did not pull off at all. The actress that plays Marnie also plays the grandma for some reason, and it's just bad. It's just not good. It doesn't have any of the same good feelings that Halloweentown gives you. You know, those kind of warm fall Halloween feelings that the first Halloweentown gives you. And that's why it belongs in the go home category. I don't believe anybody should watch it. I think that we should just think of Halloweentown as a trilogy and not a quartet, and I stand by that. Okay, so that is my completed tier list. It honestly has a nice little flow there. I wasn't expecting to put so many movies in the good times category, but it's just kind of hard to justify putting something in a category named iconic if it's not iconic. But I'm curious to know what you guys would do differently, or what movies you would have had on your list that I didn't have. I put out a new video every Monday, so look out for that. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. Have a good summer. Bye! I think the moral of the story is more Halloween movies need to be made. There's just not enough. There, I said it.